Good morning, kiddos. Today we are going to be talking about fractions that are a mixed number, and that means a whole number and a fraction. And you can see, like number 4, when it's written in number form, it would be something like 2 1/3. You can also see that in our pictures up top here, we have pictures that represent a whole shaded in. And so every one that's fully shaded is one whole. And so this one would be 3. There would be 3, would be your whole number, and then your fraction would be whatever part of a whole is shaded. So we'll go ahead and do number 1 together. It says, name the mixed number shown by the shaded parts. And we can see that we have one whole one shaded here. We have one whole one shaded here. And one whole one shaded here. So we know our whole number is 3, and we can see that on this one we have our whole broken into 2 parts, and one of those 2 parts is shaded, so 3 1/2. If we look at number 2, each flag is a full piece, okay? And so when we represent this, we have 1 that's fully shaded, 2 that's fully shaded, and our whole number here is 2. And then when we look at the next flag, we have 3 pieces of this flag, and 2 of those 3 pieces are shaded. So 2/3, so 2/3. 2 2/3 is our mixed number. I want you to go ahead and look at number 3 and do that one on your own. Number 4 through 7, it says write the mixed number as a fraction. And we're going to talk about what that looks like, writing a mixed number as a fraction. So what it's asking us to do is take that mixed number and turn it into what we call an improper fraction. And you'll remember when we were doing our fraction prep, an improper fraction is a fraction where the top or the numerator is larger than the bottom. And the way that you do this is, I'm going to do it in red here, you take your denominator, and that's 3, and you multiply it by your whole number, and then you take that number and you add in the numerator. So it's going to be 3 times 2 plus 1, okay, which is equal to 7/3. You leave the denominator the same as it was before. You can see the denominator is 3 in both of those. So for number 4, your answer is an improper fraction, which is 7/3, 7/3. And remember, it's an improper fraction because that top number is larger, the numerator is larger than the denominator. Let's go ahead and practice another one of those. We're going to go ahead and look at number 5. Number 5 reads 4 2/5. We're going to be doing the same thing here, and you're going to take the denominator and you're going to multiply it by the whole number. 4 times 5 is 20. We're going to take that 20 then, and we're going to add to that 20 the numerator, which is 2. 20 plus 2 is 22, and we're going to write it over the original denominator, which is 5. So 22/5, there's our improper fraction, 22/5. I'll have you work on 6 and 7 on your own. We're going to look at numbers 8 through 11. And in 8 through 11, it says write the fraction as a mixed number. So in 8 through 11, they're giving us the improper fraction, meaning that the top is bigger than the bottom. Okay, the numerator is larger than the denominator. And we have to make it into a mixed number, meaning a whole number plus a fraction. In this case, what we do is we ask ourselves, how many times can the denominator go into the numerator without going over? Well, I know that 6 can go into 7 one time, so that's my whole number. 6 can go into 7 one time, and I'm going to have 1 left over. And that 1 that's left over is going to be my new numerator, and my denominator stays the same, so it's 1 1/6. Another way to look at this would be to actually look at it literally like 7 divided by 6. And so we write 7 divided by 6, and I know that 6 can go into 7 one time, and 6 times 1 is 6, and 7 minus 6 is 1. And anytime we have a remainder, we write that remainder over the top of our divisor. So 1 and 1/6. And you can see that I got the same answer, 1 and 1/6 here, as I got here. It's just two different ways to look at it. So number 8, your answer is 1 and 1/6. Let's do another one of those for practice. Number 9 reads 8/3. And this is an improper fraction because the top number is larger than the bottom number. So the numerator is larger than the denominator. So we can do it one of two ways. We can look at it as 8 divided by 3. And if we do it that way, we know that 3 can go into 8 2 times without going over. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. 8 minus 6 is equal to 2. And we have a remainder here of 2. We write our remainder over the top of our divisor. So 2 and 2/3. Another way that you could look at this is 3, you can look at your original fraction here and you can say 3, the divisor, goes into 8 2 times. And I have 2 left over because 3 times 2 is 6, so I have 2 left over, and I write that over my original denominator. So 2 and 2/3. You can go ahead and practice with numbers 10 and 11 on your own. When we look at numbers 12 through 15, we're actually solving addition equations with fractions, and so we're adding fractions together, and when we add those together, it says give the answer as a mixed number. And what that tells us is that once we add those fractions together, we are going to have an improper fraction, and so we are going to make sure that once we get that improper fraction, we make sure we turn it into a mixed number, which is a whole number and a fraction. So let's work on number 12 together. We have 3/5 plus 4/5. And we know when we add, if we have a common denominator, which we do right here, we're good to go. We can add straight across the top, and 3 plus 4 is equal to 7, and our denominator stays the same, so 7/5. We can see that this is an improper fraction because the numerator, the top number, is larger than the denominator, the bottom number. So we need to ask ourselves, how many times can 5 go into 7 without going over? Well, 5 can go into 7 once without going over, and 5 times 1 is 5, and there are 2 left over. So we have a remainder of 2, and I write that over our original denominator. So 1 and 2/5. And remember, if you need to practice it or do it by dividing, that is completely fine. You can just take your 7 divided by 5, and we know that 5 goes into 7 one time without going over, and 7 minus 5 is equal to 2. So our remainder is 2. We write a remainder over the top of our divisor, which is 5. So 1 and 2/5. Same answer. You can do it either way, whichever one works better for you. I want to show you number 15 because it seems like I get lots of questions when we get ones where we have a whole number, and in this case 7, and we're adding to that a fraction, and our whole number is alone, and so in this you can literally write your whole number as your whole number and add your fraction, and that's it. So 7 plus 2/3 is equal to 7 and 2/3. It's pretty simple to do the ones when you have a whole number that's a standalone whole number. So 7 and 2/3 is your answer. On numbers 16 and 17, you have to solve word problems. And for number 17, you actually have a little diagram down here on the bottom. And it talks about the dark chain and the light chain. And in case you can't see it, the top chain is the dark chain. The bottom chain is the light chain. So when you're doing number 17, just remember top one is the dark one, the bottom one is the light one. So I want you to work on numbers 3, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, 14, 16, and 17 on your own. When you've completed those, please make sure you take a picture of them, attach them, and turn them in on Teams. Thank you.